Good morning, Coolest Coast. It is time for Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We're your hosts this morning. This is Kristin Odell of KLO. I'm Tina Prigge of Vagabond Creative Studio. So happy to see you all. Kristin, so happy to see you this morning.
Good morning. Still trying to get the sun is shining. So like my computer wants to,
Oh, it liked that.
there, that's better.
Very nice. Oh, maybe you have to stay leaned in. We have to get like a real tight close-up on you. No. Hey, Kristin. Okay, I have not been outside today. I did go outside yesterday. I walked about 2 miles. It felt amazing. It was like 60 degrees in Manitowoc. I heard in Green Bay it was 70 degrees. This morning it doesn't look like that. What's going on outside? I know you had to take the girls to school early.
Yeah. So I got up this morning and I went to yoga and I leave about 5:40ish in the morning, 5:45. And I opened the garage door and I was like, it looks a little icy out there or frosted. And then when I pulled out, I realized, no, we were snow covered a little bit. And it was in fact chilly and like windy. And then, like in the garage, my thermostat in my car probably said, like 40. And then as I started driving to yoga, it started like actually getting the right ambient temperature for outside. And very quickly it was down to like 20. And
It's
for
funny because yesterday I was saying, oh, it's amazing. It's, February 27th and I'm walking around with no gloves on, with just regular shoes, not boots. And then today is completely different.
yes. And yesterday when I picked the girls up from school, it was 73 degrees. And when I dropped them off this morning, this is without the wind chill, keep in mind, it was 15. That's like 60 degrees. That's a 60-degree swing.
So, like the kids, for example, are they able to adapt to that? Do they like realize that even though it was hot yesterday, they still need boots, hats, gloves today, for example?
No, I felt like this morning I was like, you need to take snow gear. You guys, at a minimum, even if you don't take snow pants, like you need hats and gloves today. And they're like, why? And I'm like, you guys, can you just believe me? Can you just believe me?
One of the hard things I think is having kids understand contingencies, right? Like, yes, every day we get in the car, we have this direct drive, probably don't need to be bundled up, right? But like, I always tell my son, you have to plan for what if the car breaks down? What if we like skid into a ditch? What if, la, 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 right? Like all these possibilities. Like, you need gloves. Please put boots in the car, even if you're not wearing them.
Yes. And I mean, the roads were pretty snow covered. The rural roads are snow covered and they are icy. So, yes, have those things with you. Make sure you're being thoughtful this morning as you're driving. We all know how to drive in this weather, but I feel like sometimes we forget. We have a little winter amnesia, especially after yesterday. So,
Yeah, it's true. I think you have the perfect way though to warm up. You sent me this picture, and I feel like after being outside, this would be awesome.
I know. So, I had the pleasure, and I need to post this on my social. I forgot to do it. On Monday, I met a girlfriend that also works in HR down at Field to Fork in Sheboygan. We had an amazing, delicious breakfast, but this is my chai tea latte.
Nice. I love a chai tea latte.
Isn't it so beautiful?
Yeah. So is that cinnamon on top or nutmeg?
It is cinnamon and cayenne because I asked for it spicy.
Ooh.
It was so good and it was so pretty. Like, who doesn't want to start their week like this?
I think I want to start every day like that.
You know, you
By
think
the way, Nicole commented, she said, I could live out of my car for a week with the amount of clothes and snacks available.
that's a family trait.
hmm
That's
And,
a
it,
family
and
trait.
it's kind of nice, right? Like you can go out with peace of mind, knowing that you're sort of set and prepared for any circumstance.
I do always keep a sleeping bag in my car. And maybe to Nicole's points, like I feel like there's probably enough like snacks and crumbs and french fries that have been dropped under the seat that if we were really in survival mode, we probably would have nourishment for a little while.
Please don't eat that. Tim asks, how many times have you skidded into a ditch?
Ooh, this is a fun game. Tina, how many times have you gone into a ditch in your lifetime?
More times than I would like to admit. Thanks for bringing up a really sore topic, Tim. um, at least 4 times that I can think of.
Did you have to get towed out or were you able to like get out?
Um, On all of the occasions, especially with the help of others, I was able to get out, but I did not need to get towed out.
Amazing.
How about you?
I have only gone into the ditch once, and it was on Highway 23 between Sheboygan and Fond du Lac, and I had to get towed out. It was very deep snow, and yeah, we had to have a wrecker come and tow us out.
It just feels terrible when you find yourself in that position too.
Yeah.
Tim, I want to know, how many times have you been in a ditch?
Tim just said he could fashion himself warm and dry by fashioning clothes out of plastic grocery bags. I dare you. Like, I feel like that should be a Halloween costume. You could be like reduce, recycle man.
Right. With a roll of like duct tape and unlimited plastic bags, you could have a whole fashion line, Tim.
Yeah.
And he says he was only in the ditch once.
Yeah. Here's a fun fact. The one time I went in the ditch was after a sleepover at Nicole's house.
Oh, he doesn't want you to dare him. He says, don't dare me.
I do. I dare you. Double dog dare you.
He asks, is driving into ditches a hobby for you, Tina? It is one I am trying to quit.
Please do that.
I would never like to find myself in a ditch again.
Have you ever damaged your car in the ditch? Your head that there's been some like define damage exactly.
Define ditch. Hey, this all reminds me. I was reading. I love reading, and I love it when I learn a new word when I'm reading. And I was just learned this new word this past week, and it's pronounced anemoia. And so it was an audiobook too, right? So first of all, it was a challenge to figure out how it was spelled, to look it up. But I finally found it, and the definition is the psychology behind feeling nostalgia for a time you've never known. Isn't that an interesting concept? So it's like when I brought it up to Jason, he said, oh yeah, he thinks he feels that for like the 1930s, right? Like he feels nostalgic about it, kind of almost like he can imagine himself there, almost like he misses what was going on, even though that wasn't an era he was alive at all.
Right. How about you? Do you have anemoia for any time period?
Do I? God, that's a really good question. We have to come back to that. Let me think about that.
Okay.
What about you? Does that strike something with you?
Not really. I'm not like a history person. Like I don't, like as an example, from a Clifton Strength standpoint, context is this like love for history and the study of history, not repeating mistakes or having attachment to history. And my context is like 33 out of 34.
Well, and I think too, based on how it was used in the book, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to have a historical context. It doesn't have to be an era that you didn't live through, but even like, she was talking about like, like being at this Taylor Swift concert or something. Like you've heard so much about it. You've heard other people's experiences, seen so many social media posts that you have this anemoic feeling as if you were there and shared that experience.
Yeah, you just have that like heart for like, or desire to be there, to be in that moment.
Yeah. Tim said he was saved from the ditch by throwing a tantrum that a tow truck driver saw and asked if he wanted a tow.
Why am I not surprised?
Tim was in rare form this morning because he also said, I'm always nostalgic for living in the day I cast Tina in Greece. What a day that was. Thank you for that great opportunity, Tim.
I love it.
But that doesn't quite fit the terms of anemoic because you were there. You were definitely involved.
That's right. So anemoia is more about a time when you weren't like, this is probably not it completely, but I do think it would have been very cool to know or see Abraham Lincoln in the flesh.
Right. To see him operate, to see how he moved in the world, to see
I just would have loved to hear him speak, like to know his person.
Yeah. Cool. Viewers, tell us in the chat something that you feel anemoic about. Have you had an experience of feeling anemoic? Is there something, I feel like I've told my husband my travel stories ad nauseum for, 24 years. Sometimes I imagine he might be anemoic for having been there.
Yes, that is true. I learned a new word this week, or maybe a new definition is a better way to say it. Doug and I are taking this amazing marriage class at church, and we learned a new meaning of like marriage and love as it pertains like the biblical definition. And they told us that historically it meant long suffering.
Oh no. Oh no.
Long suffering. So if you thought about marriage in the context of long suffering, now you've been married a long time. I think we've been married a long time. I am infinitely excited to be married double or triple the amount of time we have. Do you think people would be more selective if they knew that was the real, like, the heart of it was long suffering?
So I have to say, I don't associate the term suffering with my marriage at all. So yay, that's great. Right. I feel like we should be upfront about the commitment that marriage really is. Like it goes way beyond the pomp and circumstance of the wedding day and sort of the Disney happy ever after ending, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of work and compassion and compromise, but also so much deep, rich, I don't know, friendship and love, right? Like it's that whole thing. But if you're not prepared for that, if you're not prepared to stand shoulder to shoulder to face like what life throws at you, yeah.
Yeah, it's not emotional, lustful, heart pitter patter. That is not at the root of it. That is not what it is. It is really long suffering, weathering the all of the things that come, because they always kind of come, right?
Right. Right. I think that's why they sort of say like in sickness and in health. And
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly the root of those vows.
Tim said, thank goodness that Mara and I never have gone to church. That must be why we never feel as if we're in the midst of suffering long lean days.
Yeah, and I don't like, for the record, I don't feel like I suffer at all in our marriage. Like I love being married to Doug. But there still is an element of like being wholly committed to a person for the long haul and what it takes to do that, to sit in that sometimes. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Interesting. So is that like a one-time thing or is that like a
It
is it
is
over a course of time?
it's a book series, it's a workbook and a regular book put on by Family Life. The book is called why can't I think of it right now? I'll post it later. But it's like a 9-week class. So every Sunday we have class for an hour. Tim, well done.
Yeah.
34
Bravo.
years of marriage, 40 years as a couple. That is awesome.
And so you're pretty sure, Tim, that Mara's not long suffering?
I was just going to say we should ask her.
I jest. No, you guys are a great couple. I love it. And it's great to see. And hey, we were speaking of like learning new words while reading. I just wanted to mention really quick that once a month, Therese from the Manitowoc Public Library drops in to Coffee on the Coast. And we do an episode of book banter. And it's really cool because as a librarian, she comes and she brings a number of book recommendations, things that she's recently read, things that she's loved reading throughout the years. And she like delves in and tells us a little bit about these different reads so we can put them on our lists or, like talk about, oh my God, yes, I read this one. I loved it. It's cool because her reading choices are different than what mine would typically be, but I've read so many of her recommendations and really found some enjoyable books. So it's broadened my reading experience.
That is so awesome. I was there. I was at the library yesterday, and their new arrival section, I feel like is ginormous right now. I feel like there's so many new options. And the other cool thing was I went there yesterday. Grace needed a book for like an upcoming book report. And she said, here's the title. It's been approved by the teacher. Would you mind seeing if they have it? And guess what? Our awesome library had it right here in Manitowoc. And so she's going very excited to be starting her book.
Hold on. Tim, you did send me a picture of Bruce McCullough. Is that not for book banter? I was wondering. So just disregard that. You'll have to send me a message with more details. I misunderstood, apparently.
I love it. I love it. Isn't it funny how when you're in a context of something different and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, did I do that in that other thing? You all of a sudden have like the awareness of that was not right. Like,
and somehow it makes sense at the time.
I know. How come we don't have the awareness in the moment when we're, working on it closely?
Yeah, I guess sometimes we sometimes we don't allow ourselves the space to question things, even when we think we should. We're like, well, okay, that's what
Yes.
it says, so let's proceed.
I must be right. As
Ask
long
more questions.
Yes. I love it.
Hey, you sent me another picture.
I did.
Emotional regulation strategies. Walk us through this. Tell us what's going on here.
Okay, so first of all, this is not mine, and I am not gonna take any credit for it at all. I had an opportunity to do an amazing strengths session with the Manitowoc Public Library last week. And I snapped this picture because one of the leaders I met with, she does a lot of work with kids there. And so this is on her keychain. You can kind of see her keys in the picture. And I thought, first of all, I love visual reminders. I think they can be so helpful when we're in the moment and we're like, I don't know what to do. Sometimes having that visual reminder is just so helpful to help us like, wait, I do have strategies or I do have a tool I need to click into place. But then my thought about this was, Tina, what would be your go-to on this one?
Clean up my desk.
Clean up-
I find when something is like weighing on my mind or I've got something to work through, I will, like if I clean up my desk or substitute, kitchen counter or, hallway closet or something like that, right? Like if I can put my mind to being active physically where it doesn't fully take my mind, it lets my mind, I don't know, kind of percolate through whatever's going on.
Yeah. Do you find or do you think that it is like a product of I'm going to organize something I have control over because I'm in a season of not having control over this other thing?
Oh, that's a really good point. Yes.
I know that's kind of a counseling question, but I have found myself also doing that at different periods in my life, like unconsciously, like not consciously organizing things because things are a bit chaotic.
So does that mean we should be thankful for the chaos because it encourages us to do it?
Yes, see all of the above. Yeah, I don't know. So that would definitely be like maybe not clean my desk, but like organizing or picking up, like getting space cleared definitely helps. Like I found my office is always like the dumping zone around the holidays for Amazon shipments and gifts I have to wrap and just it's just kind of the catch-all. And in January I was like, I have to work on this space like to be productive. Now I would say that take a walk is probably a very close second for me. Like getting outside or getting fresh air or being in nature really helps me just kind of like get recentered.
Me too. Me too. That would absolutely be my second. I think my third would be asking for a hug because sometimes a big, deep hug really goes a long way too.
Really? So when I look at this and I think like, what would be the first thing I would ask for? Then I also asked myself yesterday when I texted you, what would be the thing that I would never ask for? I would probably never ask for a hug.
Oh, you just haven't had the right hug that no. I think probably the worst thing we could do on this list is eat a snack.
Yes.
Because that can just lead down a path of eating more and more snacks. And especially the snack like that's shown on the bag is either cookies or chips, right? Terrible for you. So that's only going to possibly compound the whatever consternation you have, right?
Right. Now, my little Nora is a total snacker. Like she has a shirt that says, I need snacks. There's a lot of days on the way home, she's emotional or kind of like nasty. And I'm like, do you need a snack? And she's hangry. And like the minute she eats, like it can be a handful of something. She is like back on track. So I can't discern whether it's emotional eating or if she's really just like at a low blood sugar wise or something, she just needs nourishment. She's definitely more of a grazer than I am. So
Yeah, our son is like that too. Like we call it hunger mentative. Like sometimes you can just tell by the way he's saying things or like interfacing with things or like we're like, oh, he's hunger mentative. Stop the press. Like it's time for lunch or it's time, like
yes. Tell me where the word, I think we might have talked about this before, but tell me where hungramentative came from.
So it stemmed from hangry. And then we realized not only is he hangry, like he needs to eat something, so he's a little angry, but he's actually argumentative because he's hungry and angry. So we called it hungermentative.
Hungramentative. I
And,
love that.
and I think it's great because since we identified it, and when we use that word now, he knows too, right? If we're like timeout, somebody's hungermentative, we can pick up this conversation once you've eaten something, and 9 times out of 10, the conversation doesn't get picked back up, right? He's calmed down, or it picks back up and it's in a totally different direction.
Yes. Well, and I just even think like bringing awareness to kids about when they're like off and just helping them understand, oh, that's what it feels. I'm identifying what that is. Then it allows them to like, can we just wait 1 second? I'm going to go grab a snack. I'll be right back. Right. It like empowers them to do it.
Right.
We've had this conversation at home. I will not name the child in my house, but the child in this house that is known for interrupting a conversation, to either interject their point or to add another, and there's that old knock joke about interrupting cow.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow. So the family strategy was, if this individual interrupts a conversation that's going on, we're allowed to move to bring attention to it, which has done a couple of things. The individual has started catching themselves doing it and holding their words till the end, which I really appreciate and have like acknowledged and championed. It also brings so much humor to our life. And the best thing is, like all my siblings and my mom, we had Sunday dinner and we're kind of got into talking about this, and Doug interrupted something and my brother mooed Doug. And it was so awesome. So it was like, okay, this is like so funny now, but so effective.
So effective. I love that. Viewers, tell us in the chat which strategies are your go-to. Kristin, I think that's brilliant because it makes it lighthearted in pointing it out that, it's kind of rude to interrupt.
Right.
And it's different if you're like, dude, you interrupted again. Like, that doesn't feel good. It brings down the mood. But if you moo and people know what that clue means, they're like, you're like effective and fun.
Oh, it has been effective. So I've handed out some kudos since then because it's been changing in a really great way.
So this is kind of a deep cut, but did you ever see the movie The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis?
I don't think so.
I love this movie. And anyway, it's something about they're at the Egyptian ruins, like the pyramids, and they're I don't know, some kind of archaeology thing is happening. Anyway, it's back in the day before there was electric lights. And so a little boy had to take a mirror, catch the sun, and like shine it down the dark halls, right? But the little boy had the most boring job in the world. So he'd keep falling asleep and then the mirror would shift and the light would go away. So this guy like deep in the dark tunnel would be like, Aziz, light, right? So long story short, in an effort for conservation here at home, every time somebody like leaves the hallway light on and then goes away, we just go, Aziz, light. And they know like, oh, I left the light on.
I love it. That's another great example.
And we don't always have to even be so dramatic about it. Like we've done it enough that now we'll just be like, Aziz.
Hello, please come back. Something is awry.
What other fun things are there like that?
Oh my gosh. I know there's just so many ways. I think even last night, the girls, we were coming home from somewhere and there was a comment like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, I'm sorry, that is the wrong answer. Can you please try again? And again, there was laughter in the car. And then the answer was like, okay. I'm like, thank you. Now we can move on. So sometimes I like to take the game show host.
And it works, right? It like diffuses what could be a crabby situation otherwise.
Absolutely.
Nicole said her go-to strategies are cleaning spaces, bing, bing, taking walks, same as both of us, snacks for Cormac because he tends to have similar habits of little Nora.
That is true. Doug is a grazer also and a snacker. So maybe that is just like a generational thing. I don't know.
And it's really, I think, a skill to be able to be aware of what's happening in someone's life, right? Like to help them identify, you'd be having a much better time right now if you just had a snack.
Yes. Yes. Or let's go for a 5-minute walk and get some fresh air or whatever. You fill in the blank.
Right. Yeah. A walk can be transformative, especially on a day like yesterday, feeling that sunshine.
Yeah. And I've already had this. I have used this in my HR career a number of times where an employee is really escalated or they're really emotional, and I've offered, like, do you want to go for a walk or do you want to get outside? It is so effective for helping another person just really calm down in the situation that they're in. Because it's like, let's be honest, when we have a little bit more clarity, it's so much easier to be productive and thoughtful, and just like we feel a lot better about what we do when we have time and space to be.
Yeah, I agree. That sort of reset, that mind shift.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, One other meme, I don't know, would you call this a meme? This came across my feed, and it's a quote by Abraham Maslow. And he said, in any given moment, we have two options: to step forward into growth or to step back into safety. And
Mm.
it's interesting because on first read, you almost think, well, wouldn't you choose safety? But isn't growth truly the much better option here?
Yeah. I want, instead of safety, I kind of want to like say old habits or old ways.
Right,
Like,
right,
I know that that feels safe, like routine or whatever feels safe for somebody. But it's not always safe, or
right,
it's like safety feels like a good thing. And sometimes sitting in that is not a good thing.
right. Right. And it kind of like we were just talking about with the mind shift, right? Like it's retreating into something that, yes, you know, works, but it's not allowing yourself to have this new experience that actually might be better, might broaden the situation.
Right. This feels like a really, really good time to bring up one last pitch on the Women's Summit. So, friends, the registration for the Women's Summit ends this Friday, March 1st. If you have been like, oh, should I go? Shouldn't I go? The answer is yes, you should go. We are going to have some just really fabulous conversations and presenters about balancing time and balancing your own self image and caring for your own wellness and just all kinds of things that are going to empower you to hopefully leave some of that yucky stuff in the past and be able to be in a space of growth. Um, so yeah, Women's Summit. It's going to be all day on Saturday, March 9th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We would love for you to come and join
Yeah.
us.
I'm so excited. I'm really, lifted up by the number of women that have already committed to just know that we've got a day coming up that we all get to be together and share this experience. I'm excited about.
Yes. Yeah. We are well over halfway of selling our goal tickets now, which is so exciting. And, a couple of other things that have come up or people have asked me about. So, um, you wear comfortable clothes. Like, this is a very casual event. You get to wear athletic gear, which, like, personally, I love that. I'm so thankful for an opportunity. Anytime I get to like teach or lead a group and be in comfy clothes, I'm winning. Um, the other thing is, somebody was like, if I come alone, like, how is it going to be? I'm nervous to be there alone. And here's
Oh,
the deal.
yeah.
You do not need to worry about that. So we're going to have round tables set up. I think there's about 6 people per table. We're going to give you time and space and safety to get to talk and meet those other women that are at your table. And I promise you, like, the feedback from last year was just they met people and connected with people they'd never met before, that they had a wonderful time. And like, this is part of our job as leaders and presenters is to help you feel comfortable in that space and help you meet new people. So please, if you are on the fence, just come and spend the day with us. It's going to be so worth the money.
Yeah, well said. Anyone that is in that room is not alone on that day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I remember how warm and excited I felt at the end of the day last year. We had about, I don't know, 25, 30 women last year join us for the first year. You guys, we have double of that. And I can't wait to have everybody in the room and just have just beautiful conversations. And again, be in a space at the Franciscan Center where there's just beautiful natural light coming in and a beautiful view. I think it's just going to be so awesome.
Yeah, and we were reviewing the catering list, and it made me so hungry. Harmony Cafe and Juicery is going to be providing the snacks and the lunch, and already their food is healthful and thoughtful and good for you. Your mouth is happy when you eat it, right? And so, just reading the list, I'm already looking forward to like eating that day.
I know. And I thought we have like snacks in the morning and then lunch and then snacks in the afternoon, and they all sound good. And I'm like, I can't wait to just like take it all in and take all the women in that room and just have an awesome day.
Yeah, just connect and be together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're lucky, Krista, because you are going to be emceeing the event and making sure it all flows along. And you are so good at that. That is truly a forte of yours. And it really makes it enjoyable.
Thank you. We have to think of something. Last year we used Becky's little singing bowl as the 5-minute warning. So we have to decide. So if you guys have any ideas, what do you think is a good thing to use to notify speakers and really participants that there's 5 minutes left in a session? I'd love your ideas.
Gosh, I love the idea of the singing bowl, right? Just like that dong, that ring that kind of hangs there. It's not obtrusive, but it definitely calls your attention back.
Yeah. So probably not something like cowbell. I feel like that would be a little bit aggressive, but somewhere Nicole said a gong, which when I think gong, I think like a gong that's like this big with a like boom.
Or a wind chime. Oh, that's a nice idea.
That is fun. Yeah. So keep the ideas coming. I will pick something that can be used during the session. But yeah, the countdown is for surely on, and we can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait to share the day with you and with everyone that's attending. All right, well, we've got to wrap it up for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this episode of Coffee with Kristin and Tina. That's Kristin Odell of KLO. I'm Tina Prigge, Vagabond Creative Studio. What a delight to share this morning with you. Kristin, we'll see you next time.
Have an amazing day, guys.